Good evening everybody, this is Dr. Aman from DentAcme, and today I'm making this video because we're getting messages regarding AIIMS pattern, and this video is basically for AIIMS only, and all the students who are appearing first time in this AIIMS November on 17th, and this video is to make them familiarize with the type of questions which will be asked in AIIMS and how to attempt and what sequence they can follow with the attempt. And the basic thing which I believe here is that they have still mentioned, which just like they mentioned in during the May exam in the prospectus, that the majority of the questions will be single answer and single best answer questions only. Right. So I think students should not worry much. Around 170-180 questions will be single best answer, but yes, 20-25 questions which will be of different pattern. We'll be talking on it, and I'll try to find a right sequence for all of you which you can follow in the exam so that you can get the maximum with the minimum stipulated time for all those questions. And in fact, AIIMS has corrected their marking scheme also in the prospectus, which is good, and it is much more clear now, and it gives a right clarity for the questions with their weightage, which question has more weightage in the exam with more scoring, and which will take less time with the same score. So I'll be taking you through a PowerPoint, and I'll waiting for on 17th of November. This is the most prestigious institute of the country, AIIMS, and I'm sure you all have worked hard for it, right? So coming on to the main thing which we were talking about is basically, I believe it, as I told you before also, it is a fight between your time and your score. See, now you have 200 questions in 180 minutes, and most of those questions are single best answer only, which you are used to practicing, which you have been doing before, and I think you will do it comfortably. But the most important thing is you need to manage time for it. You cannot keep the same time. For example, if you keep 30 seconds to 1 minute for one single best answer question, you cannot keep or expect similar time to be taken by the changed pattern questions, right? Because they will need more time than this. So you need to be with speed, you need to be very precise, and try not to keep many questions under review, because by end of 3 hours you may not get enough time to come back to the questions, review questions, and answer again, right? So try, whenever you think over a question, try to go with an attempt only, unless you are very confused, unless you want to attempt. Otherwise you leave that question and move on to the next questions which they will be asked in exam. There are basically 7 type of questions. The first is single best answer, which you are very familiar with, right? Then is multiple true false type, then is match the following type, then is sequential arrangement type, then is multiple completion type, reason assertion type, and the last is extended matching type. We'll do the AIIMS prospectus. They've explained every type with the example. All the next things are from the prospectus only, just tell you the exact thing which is given in the prospectus. So this is single best answer, which you are very familiar with. If you mark it right, you'll get +1 marks. If you mark it wrong, you'll get -1/3. It is 1/3 negative, 33% marks. So, but these are the questions which will be scoring, because you are used to it, you are familiar with the pattern. You just have to find the answer and mark it. And I'll still recommend go with these first, because you are more used to these type of questions, right? So, and maximum number of questions will be of this category only. Around 175-80 questions we expect will be of this category only. So of course they will be answered first. So you are familiar with this. Second is multiple true false. Multiple true false is basically where you will get, as you can see with the scoring, you get +1/5. Each option is a separate mark for you, right? So for answering this question, advantage is it has a minimum risk, because only if you mark it wrong, only mark one option wrong, you lose only 1/5 mark, right? But disadvantage is you need to read all 5 long options, and ultimately even if you read all 4 right, still you don't get 1 full mark. Still 1/5 will be left, right? So after reading all 5 options, you may end up getting all 3 right, and 2 are still confused, you can leave these 2, you can keep these 3, but answer will be 1 by 5 plus 1 by 5 plus 1 by 5, right? It will still not 1 full mark, right? So it will be time consuming but with minimum risk. So I'll recommend attempt this question in the later part, right? So because it will consume your time a lot and with very minimal marks you'll get with this. Next is the match the following type. The match the following type has 1/4, right? So it has 1/4 if you mark it right and 1/4 if you mark it wrong, right? So this is still better than true false because you don't need to read all 5. You just have to see because both the columns will be opposite to each other if you see first option, and you will be able to identify immediately if you know the answer, right? And you'll get plus 1 by 4. So it is more scoring than true false, right? But still will need your time to focus on all 6 to find the right answer. While once you get 1 or 2 right, then it will become little easy, but still it will take time, right? So though risk is again less, 1 by 4 risk is again less, which is lesser than the usual type which you attempt, that is single best answer, that has 1 by 3rd negative, right? So it has 1 by 4th negative, but still it will take time. So I'll take it, I'll attempt this question, I'll prefer this question to be attempted later on. Next is sequential arrangement. This carries just like something which is from increasing to decreasing order. Those kind of questions, most common to least common, right? Recurrence rate high to low. Those type of questions are these, the chronology of the sequence of eruption of teeth. Those type of questions are these, and yes, you will get plus 1 if you mark it right. But the most dangerous thing about it is this red circle, that is -1. If you mark this answer wrong, you will directly lose -1 marks. -1 is the highest risk among all the categories of the questions which will be asked in AIIMS, right? So when it is more than in fact than the single best answer. If you mark 3 single best answers right, then you get
This conference will now be recorded.
Next is sequential arrangement. This is the 4th type, and yes, you are getting plus 1 marks here. You are getting this plus 1 score here, but the most dangerous thing about this is this -1, right? So this -1 is a highest risk question among all the 7 type of questions which will be asked in AIIMS, right? So it is just like you marking 3 questions single best answer wrong and is equal to this 1 answer wrong, right? So the risk factor is very high. So I would recommend, yes, it should be attempted, it should be seen, but answer only when you are 100% sure, right? There is no guesswork in it. You will be losing straight -1 marks, which is equal to 3 single best answer, 5 true false answers, 4 match the following answers, right? So it has to be attempted with caution, and make sure you attempt only when you are 100% sure, right? Next is multiple completion type, which I think is a scoring opportunity, right? Because risk is again very low, -1 by 4, and if you know, of course you have to go with all the 4 options. You have to read all the 4 options, just like single best answer, and with every option you need to think whether it is correct or not, right? So if A is correct, B, you just have to read all the 4 options first without seeing the answer options, right? You have to see all 4 statements of the question, make a mind which is correct, which of these 4 is correct, and then you can see the options which are matching with your thought process, with what mind you have made, right? So for example, it can be done a little smartly also. If you think answer A is right, answer B is correct, C you are not sure, but D is definitely false, even then you are able to answer, because in options there is no option which has A and B correct, and so it does not lead to confusion. If C is with A, definitely C will be correct also, so A, B, C are correct. So that is how you can answer this question and can be scoring, right, with very minimal risk of -1 by 4, right? So it has to be attempted in preference, though I'll try to tell you with what sequence, right? So even if you mark this question wrong, you'll lose -1 by 4 marks, but if you mark it correct, it has straight 1 mark, unlike match the following and true false, which will get plus 1 by 4 or 1 by 5. Right, so next is reason assertion type, which I think is, in my sequence, it has to be in the second position in attempting questions. Why? Because you just have to read these two statements and assess. First thing you need to assess is whether they are correct or not. Second thing you have to assess here is that whether A is assertion, B is reasoning here, whether B is a valid reason for A. That is it. So first thing you need to assess is whether A is correct and B is correct. They are true statements or not. Second thing you need to see is whether B is the reason for assertion A. If that mind is done, that is made in your mind, then these 5 options will be in this sequence only. The first option is both assertion and reason are independently true or correct, and reason is correct explanation for the assertion, right? So both are correct and B is the actual reason for assertion. This is first option. Second option is both assertion and reasons are independently true or correct, but the reason is not the exact explanation for the assertion, not the correct explanation for the assertion. So that is option B. Option 3 or C is assertion is independently true and correct statement, but the reason is incorrect statement. Option 4 is assertion is independently false or incorrect statement, but the reason is a correct statement. And option 5 is both are independently false, both are incorrect statements. So in this sequence you will be asked in the exam, if you just have to read the two statements of the question and you can make answer in your mind and you can go directly to that option. It will save your time, and again score is +1 and risk factor is very minimal, -1 by 4. So it will be, I think it will score more in less time of reading the question. These options 1 to 5 will be same in the exam, so you don't have to read all 5 to finally answer. But yes, the caution here is, do before answering, if you make a mind that option 2 is right for this, for whatever question you get, still do read option 2 before answering, just to confirm, right? Don't answer blindly, but still it will take less time to ultimately answer your question. So I would recommend this question has to go at the second position after single best answer, because it has less score, less risk factor, plus it will need less time to answer correctly, and you will get +1 mark for this. This is reason and assertion. And the last is very interesting, that is extended matching type question. Extended matching type question is basically they will give you a theme, as they have told here. They will give you a theme first, on which theme means a topic on which they will ask. They will give certain options and the questions they will give. Plus they will give answer options out of which you have to choose the answer. Then there is a lead in the question. Lead in the question is, for example, they will give a scenario to you.
This conference will now be recorded.
Then there will be lead in the question. Lead in the question is basically hint to the answer, and then they will give you case scenarios. For example, here they have given 2 case scenarios, case 1 and case 2, and you have to answer separately for case 1 and case 2 among the options, among these answer options, right? So you have to, for case 1 what is the answer, and case 2 what is the answer. And theme is fatigue. Basically they are talking about fatigue only, but in case 1 fatigue is due to which option, and case 2 this fatigue is due to which of these options. That is what you need to answer. And the scoring is something like this. Scoring is, if you get the correct answer, you will get +1 oblique number of scenarios. Means for example, here there are 2 scenarios, so your answer will be, you'll get +1 by 2 scenarios. So you have to get both the scenarios correct to get 1 full mark, right? So basically what I mean to say here is, it is a long question. Of course you have to read everything of it. It will take time. Ultimately you need to read the whole case scenario and then answer. So, and ultimately you will get 1 mark after reading all this, and if by chance there are 2 scenarios, you will get 1 by 2 for 1 correct scenario, right? So it will take a lot of time and you will ultimately get 1 mark only. So I think this has to be the least preferred type because of the time consumption it involves. Though it can be easy, I believe, please don't just ignore this question considering it is a long question and should not be attempted. I'm sure it will be easy for you, very easy question. You just need to read all the contents of this question, right? But do try to attempt, but has to be in the last slot, right? So that is what I believe for all of you to follow, and I hope it helps you. So basically what sequence we have decided here is, I'll just tell you in the next slides. But the important point is scheme of marking. This is a very common doubt of all the students here, and I would like to clear it here. There's no credit. They have clearly mentioned in the prospectus. No, still do listen to the instructions of the invigilators in your examination center or instructions which come on the screen. And if you still have any doubt, do ask the invigilators. Please don't panic. Please don't get anxious that you have read something else in the prospectus and something else is on the screen. If it is there, those chances will be very less, but do confirm. Please don't get panicky, and please don't answer anything. Please don't keep anything under review with a doubt, right? But in prospectus, they have mentioned there will be no credit will be given for the questions not answered or marked for review, right? So questions, anything which you keep in review will not be accepted as an answer and will be considered as unanswered question. So that is one thing which has to be very clear. Next is similar, just as they told in May exam, that it's the two scenarios in each majority of MCQs for general examination will be single best answer, just like they have given they gave in the May exam. So I expect not more than 20-25 questions. They will be less than this definitely, right? So most of the questions will be single best answer. So I think it reduces little bit of stress, but again important is for those 15-20 questions also you need to have time to go through all those questions properly. They will be very easy questions, I am very sure. They will be easy, straightforward. That will be from definitely what all you have read, but they will need time to reach an answer. So do keep that time, keep a good speed, right? So during your exam, be completely focused, right? So next is the sequence, which I think you should follow. Rest, if again I'm telling you, if you have a different study pattern or attempting or mindset, that is okay, but this is a sequence which I think will be very helpful for all of you, right? So first is of course single best answer, because it has, if you mark it right you'll get +1 directly, and if you mark it wrong, yes, but risk factor is second highest in single best answer, second highest risk factor after sequential arrangement, right? So but still it has to be attempted first because that is what you are familiar with and you will be able to answer these questions with speed. So that is according to me the first thing. Second has to be reason assertion. As I told you, you just have to read the two statements. You just have to check whether they are correct or not, both the statements, and whether the second statement is actual reason for the first statement, that is assertion. If that is all clear in your mind, you directly have to answer. You just have to look for the option, which you already know the sequence of options in the exam. So you don't have to read all those 5 options of the question, right? So so you'll get +1 marks. That is again good score with minimal risk of -1/4. Even if you mark it wrong, you'll get -1/4. So with minimum risk and less time, you'll get score more. That is why I think this has to be at the second place. Then is multiple completion. Again, multiple completion is basically you'll get +1 marks. Plus, if you read all 4 options like any of the single best answer and make a mind that which is correct and which is not correct, and accordingly you will answer, and things should not take much time for you. So that has, because of the score and the time it is consuming, I have kept it at the 3rd position in your sequence. Then is sequential arrangement, but has to be done very cautiously because it gives you +1 marks directly, but it takes -1 also if you mark it wrong. So answer this question only when you are 110% confident and sure. Otherwise, please don't try this question. You will lose you may lose, of course, you will lose your rank with this question. It is equal to 3 such questions, 5 such questions, 4 such option questions, and you're out of competition, right? So be very, very cautious with this, but it has to be read. It has to be tried for an attempt with a good confident attempt. Next is match the following, just because it will take lesser time than true false and you'll score more. So 1/4 is more than 1/5, that is I've kept it before true false, and it will consume less time than true false. That is why this is here. So this is at the 5th position. Next is multiple true and false, because yes, they are scoring these plus 1/5 marks. They also matter a lot when you have to take a rank in AIIMS, right? So these need not to be ignored. These questions has to be done with the same equal focus like any other question. Please don't consider that they'll give only 1/5, so you take those questions lightly. It is not like this. As I told you before, to attempt all these questions, you need to have time. So be speedy with your answers. these all has to be done and with the same focus as you have done with any other question, but only thing is they'll give you less score with more time involved in it, right? So you have to read all for 5 options and ultimately reaching to 1 mark. So that is the only disadvantage. Otherwise, these all has to be attempted and they will be easy to score, right? So do keep time, do manage time properly. And the last is extended matching, just for one reason, because of the case scenarios, because of the cases. If you find, when you see a question and you find a small case history, try to attempt it as soon as with the same focus as you can. But if there are 2 or 3 cases given, I would still recommend attempt this question in the end, right? Ultimately, you will get only 1 mark for attempting all those 2 or 3 cases. So getting that 1 mark for those 3 cases and giving there's 2-3 minutes to that question has to be done in the last, right? So that is what, this is the sequence I think is you should follow. And
Best, be calm, be focused, and I'm sure you will come with flying colors. You have worked hard for it. Go with that belief. Go, you can rock it, and you will. All the best, guys.